Hi all. I'd just like to say I had a really good bullet tournament on Lead Chess recently, so much so, yeah, it's recorded for a whole week. Elite Bullet Champion for this week, so it's the 1st of April now. So this happened, if we look, when was this bullet tournament? It was on April the 27th at 6 p.m. So it was a very interesting tournament for me. I don't think I've actually won the Elite Bullet before. Towards the end I was suffering a bit. No moves left, as you can see, was hammering me towards the end. There's 3 wins of him here towards the end of this tournament, and I'm just very close to conceding that first place to him. So I seem to have played a few more games. Maybe he joined a bit late. And the interesting thing here, it was quite some time ago, about like 8 months ago, I had come second. That was getting close to winning this, and he was third in that tournament. Someone else had won that Elite Bullet at that time. That was pretty rare to come second as well. But I believe this is the first time I've ever come first in it. So let's have a look at some of these games. So this tournament, the tournament link, I'll put in the description of the video and a pinned comment if you want to check out the games. So if we scroll down, unfortunately I can only see like the third game conveniently. And in fact, in the third game, it looks as though there was a default. That helps. I had a default in the third game. Let's look at the fourth game. So I was with the black pieces. So I like playing this aggressive gambit here. So knight c3. So they don't accept. So I'm thinking, you know, it's just good piece development at this speed of play to have good piece activity. e5, knight f3, e4. And here I like to play a6 to rule out bishop b5, which would further justify this knight on e5. So I like playing this a6. And I've had a lot of wins with this structure. This is quite an ambitious structure. So f5, yeah, he wasted a bit of time there, perhaps. I didn't take en passant. I left that structure intact. I played knight c6 instead of the en passant move. And here, after bishop e3, both sides castling, queen e1, bishop e6, queen h4, I play rook ac8. So at least I'm enjoying a semi-open c file here. And now knight a5. So I'm still enjoying a semi-open c file. And actually he played g4, and this allows a really just good tactic. Yeah, just knight takes g4, the unprotected queen. I know it's bullet chess, so it's quite easy sometimes to win in bullet chess for a blunder. So the opponent was pretty high rated. I thought, wow, I've got two lucky games now in a row. One was a default, and now this game. So let's go back. So in game, yeah, against Chop 19. Let's have a look at this game. So I like my pet knight c3. So tangoing, he took actually, unlike d4. So my good friend David Solon recommended this move d4 instead of d3, which if black wants to take en passant, they would lose the right for en passant, you know, if you play d4, if they play something else. So yeah, d3, you know, allows, you know, things like bishop g4. So I prefer d4 nowadays, thanks to David Solon. So, and here I'm aiming for a kind of, you know, nice gambit. So he plays like this. So e6, we have a kind of, yeah, it's difficult to know what is this called, but yeah, a kind of black Medina gambit decline according to this. Okay, so e5, I've played this before, often with queen takes d5 here, which is quite dangerous. He plays bishop g4, knight f3, and here queen takes d5 now. So I like this threat of knight c7 check. And here, yeah, I'm just eliminating a6, so that's job done here mostly. So yeah, this seems to be starting to be a lucky streak, and I get my knight back. I'm just material up, and then he loses another piece. So yeah, I thought this is a fun start to this tournament. Okay, so chop was chopped up quickly there, and I had this draw. Let's have a look at this draw. So I was with the black pieces. So the tango, I kind of like the tango. I think this is a bit of grinding draw actually. So just take to a key moment. So I thought I've got a good attacking position, but yeah, that knight's a bit stranded, and actually here, yeah, queen d1, knight f4 check. So I take on d1, and he takes on f7. Now what's the engine evaluation here? So I'm going to exchange up for 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, just for a pawn, and it's not such a big advantage here. And I believe he actually played this angling pretty resourcefully. Although I was increasing advantage here, this does look as though I should have won this one for sure. Okay, so yeah, I'm at -5 and I managed to mess this up. But time pressure, you can see the timestamps here. I'm down to 16 seconds right now, so this is the tricky thing about bullet chess. And here I'm down to 11 seconds and he's got an extra 5 seconds at this point. So it is pretty tricky. So check, yeah. So this isn't really. I need to go apparently for rook d1, and then if king e2. Exactly. If there's a few more moves to play like this, I don't know. The engine's not completely clear how to win this. So basically, it's good to know when to bail out and change the objective just for a draw. I'm down to 6 seconds here versus his 10. So yeah, there's this fine balance in bullet chess, for the objective game result, but how much actual time have you got left? So yeah, so I lost to Adam. Let's just go over the wins. You can check out the losses. Let's go. The wins are good memories. Let's go over the good memories of this tournament. So I'll try and learn from the losses, of course. But yeah, this is an interesting gambit situation where, okay, he took on d3, and it seems to take the sting out of my attacking potential for sure without that light square bishop. So what happened here? So there is a bit of pressure. This gives me an advantage, his knight d5, instead of just castling, it seems. So knight e4, now he took, and I double the rooks. Okay, so here is the big mistake. I'm thinking king safety. That's been a priority of my recent course, the complete guide to opening principles. I thought king safety is shot to pieces here, isn't it, if he had taken. So if taking queen takes e6 check, queen f5 check, yeah, that's the key move, and then rook e8. No, I don't think I'd calculated that. It was just more intuitive. Yeah, this is actually a forced mate. So that's pretty good. So an intuitive kind of sack, look good. Now knight g5 hits h7 and e6, and this is absolutely winning now anyway. Okay, so yeah, some fun stuff on this bullet time control. So chop was chopped up again. Okay, early on. This is a very difficult opponent. So what happened here? I think I just played for a sort of reverse Smith-Morra gambit, basically, against his English opening. It's like reverse Smith-Morra gambit with more aggressive early f5. And even though it's objectively better for white, but I think this is kind of fun to play. So I did play even commit to e4. So I'm looking at that soft spot h2. And here, yeah, I've got things like bishop h3 on the cards now. It's nice to, I often like having an aggressive pawn as black on e4 to make this soft spot more of a soft spot. So here, yeah, it's actually good for me after knight d2. So f4 is more key, I guess, because bishop h3, there's rook f2. So it vacates, in effect, that f2 square. That's like a strength of the last move. If they're vacating the square, that's a good defensive resource. But knight d2, yeah, loses that exchange, giving me a little bit of an advantage now. So f4 here, yeah, just is getting to be a disaster now. I'm just winning lots of material here. Check. And yeah, I'm just material up. The exchange up. So I could have done better there, apparently. Yeah, if we look at that again. But this is winnable now. This is definitely winnable now, especially after winning the bishop. But I could have done even better. So what did I miss there? Oh. Okay, so bishop b6 check, and if here taking, yeah, so it's not losing the bishop, it's just not an unprotected piece. So this would just be a whole rook up. Okay. Okay, so yeah, these are not exactly accurate games, for sure. They're just, you know, fun entertainment. And let's see, Temso. So again, knight c3 is working quite well for me, especially at this faster time control, as a surprise weapon. So you could contrast that. Say Smith-Morrow Gambit has got these decline variations. At least this is in probably more unfamiliar territory for most players. I have to be worried about the c4 move from black. So here, yeah, there's pressure, and I'm just hacking the opponent up actually after casting. Casting was far too routine. That's definitely a big mistake. Not really thinking, you know, casting is about king safety. It's actually damaged with casting here for sure. So it's difficult for black though. If bishop f8, it's a difficult position here. This situation is interesting. It's nice for white. Okay, anyway, so let's get to the gist of it. So bishop takes h6, keeping that pressure on g7, and yeah, this is just the king safety is gone for the opponent. And in fact, they just resigned here. Okay, so that was Temso. So Adam 2003. So here again, knight c3 is a weapon of choice, and I like going into these Grand Prix attacks, transposing into Grand Prix attack territory. So here, yeah, was that a good retreat? Actually, there's knight takes e6 mentioned. Oh, maybe that's only, you know, not objectively that good. But here, yeah, it looks as though the opponent's got a grip on that key f5 square. But I'm looking forward to sometimes rerouting this bishop on this diagonal. So here, yeah, I've got that in mind. I can take on f5 here, and it's a pretty decent position. And yeah, he drops h6. That's always going to help. So g4, yeah, I'm trying to blast that king side now. Knight g5. And this is just very good after rook f6. Yeah, something has gone wrong here. Queen h6 would have been much better then to pin that knight. So this is a very different scenario now, with bishop takes g6, bishop f7 check, winning material. Okay, so that's going to be all over soon. A rook up. So that was against Adam 2303, right? 2303. Okay. No moves left, so I had to take him out. Yeah, it's good I managed to beat this guy early in the tournament. I think this was a grind though. He's a very pretty accurate player. Massive rating, 2793. So this is another thing about this tournament. It's an interesting tournament, coincides with this big priority of trying to tweak my openings with maximum king safety as a priority, central square control. And yeah, I have a very good position here. So I'm missing a tactical opportunity. No, actually, no, this was a disaster for him, wasn't it? He just blunders completely here. He just blundered completely. So that was a bit of a strange game. He blundered completely there. But the interesting thing as well in this position, the engine's just saying bishop h6. What is this about? And then taking knight f5. I see. So that's going to be good for white. But okay, so yeah, this is he has to play bishop d7. But the game actually carried on. So not this is why they're so high rated, some of these players. Sometimes they just play on to maximize. You know, no game was ever won by resigning. Oh, he did actually resign here. So that was a bit of luck. Maybe you know, a mouse slip in that game against this guy who eventually came rank 2, nearly won the tournament. It was maybe like a mouse slip or something. So, sorry, that's just a variation. Which I'm trying to get out of. Okay, so I took on c6, 95. So with bishop d7, yeah, this is only a small Actually, is there a way for black to go wrong here? No, it's actually, there's an interesting knight f5 for knight c6, isn't there? For advantage. There's interesting variations for sure. So yeah, so some lucky wins so far, and that was that mammoth opponent. So this is black against STG attempt. So we have an interesting opening for sure. And there's a classic trap a lot of players fall into. In fact, countless players recently. It's like every other day someone plays this bishop b5 here. And I've even had this GM play bishop b5 here. I ended up drawing that because I was just too terrified of him. That was quite some time ago. But so many players seem to play bishop b5. So this is like one of the common traps. Just winning that bishop. So yeah, this is an advantage of having what seems to be a very loose pawn on d4. And that bishop b5 is going to amplify that pressure, but it just falls victim to queen a5, and there's no knight c3 without losing the knight. So what happened later? f6. Actually, so this actually got a bit tricky unnecessarily. So I've played this a bit wrong, but anyway, let's see what happened later. Was there anything else about this which was interesting? Did it go the distance? Still better here, and getting king safety with these operations to simplify. So here, yeah, I'm less worried, and I've got the pressure, getting the queens off, less worried about any king safety issue. And here, yeah, e4 dropping, so there's pass pawn potential, and that's absolutely winning. And it's good to try and checkmate as soon as possible, not to lose on time. So SG2 attempt. Okay, so that was interesting. So Zomatar Matkov. Okay, so this is a Vienna game, and quite often this is working for me quite well. So knight takes h1. I take on c7. Pretty sure he blundered early in this. Bishop c5 is not to go d4, and here I can just snap off that bishop, so no problem with that knight, and I'm just +3. I'm material up here. So that was a disastrous bishop b6. So bishop takes f3 would have been better here, and check king f1. This is still better for white, this line. Bishop e3. Rook d1 check. This is good for white, this line. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so got a bit lucky in the opening to be winning material. So with the extra material, he's 2-5-5-1, so it's a bit scary the ratings to look at. But if you look at the actual blunders that are being made, they're not particularly sophisticated. And I checkmate there. They're not particularly sophisticated blunders at the moment, even with that high rating. So Kulamov was victimizing me a lot in this tournament. He's a very, very good player. So another time, check out the losses another time. So yeah, this trying to get active play out of the opening here. Now this is also a favourite line if they play knight c3. My stats are very good in this line after d4. My stats are pretty good. I like this h5 h4 plan. And yeah, I just got nice control over the e5 square, and king safety is a big problem for white here in this opening sequence, the way it's being played. And now I'm looking forward to trying to open up things even more. I like using the f pawn even more to undermine white's central square control. So that central square control priority is there. So here, okay, I'm doing very well here, putting pressure on the e file. I noticed actually there's a mating possibility here. If I take out f3, I can mate on e1 soon. Just safeguarding bishop first, getting ready for bishop f3, and then there's that mate possibility which happened. So okay, whatever his name. So that was interesting. Let's not open a new tab. Let's just All right. Let's just go with that. Okay, so here, Teshmov, so this tango is working out very well. I'm pretty sure I've got an advantage here already. This pawn sack isn't particularly sound. So yeah, this tango really works. Oh, I could have done better here. Or not. No, it's okay. So check. And this is a decent enough. No, this was a scary position with all the pressure. So in fact, let me just rewind. I'm just interested. How did I mess this up? So be struggling. So I played rook e1. That was a loose move. So d3 would have been better. So in the game with rook e1, e4. Yeah, so it's against e4 that d3 would have been designed against. So with this e4, yeah, black's getting that, nice pressure on the f file. So this is a real danger signal for my opening criteria of maximizing king safety. It's a real danger signal territory. So yes, d3 is actually connected here instead of rook e1. In effect, it's connected to king safety and holding on to that pawn there to limit black's activity. So with this sequence, black's well in the game with a lot of play and technically a lot better. And in fact, bishop g4 does seem to be -3. Ouch. So yeah. So anyway, so some moves enabled me to arrange king safety. Rook f1, f4 to stop this queen h2, and he could have just taken on e2 here. So that was, yeah, I'm having some luck in this tournament, it has to be said. And then after this, my king safety has been sorted out. So this is a lot of luck. And I do think a big theme about this tournament, which I can describe as don't look down, is that I think there's a lot of intimidation generally in online chess with ratings. Like maybe he just didn't expect me to just blunder a whole piece. I think if people are too concerned about these other worries, they're not focusing on the ball position. So it becomes more understandable. You might find this absolutely incomprehensible, but in the heat of the battles of these bullet battles, yeah, finding the objectively best move and not being worried about someone's high rating on the side of the screen. It's like intimidation, distraction, all of that. So I like the idea of don't look down, as if the higher wire acts at the circus, that if or you're in a high place, you don't want to look down. You just want to get the job done. You want to control what you can control, and not worry about what you can't control. And my dad, rest in peace, he told me this story that when he was doing this driving test, he thought he fluffed it up, so all his nerves went after that, and he was focused on at good driving. So sometimes, you can have a lot of distractions, especially in online chess. Say you were playing GM with a 3,100 rating. It's intimidating. But if you look objectively at the move, sometimes it's not that sophisticated, the mistakes that they're making. And if you can not look down, so to speak, psychologically, and just play the best moves in the position, it's much harder to say that. But don't look down helped me a bit, I believe, in this tournament later. I believe so. Anyway, so I was back in the game, and let's see what happened here. I think I started some kingside pressure. So yeah, there's some kingside pressure emerging, although it's an equal rook and pawn ending now. But I know this was funny. I had a game a few days back against I think a women's international master, and we had like Sofko, I think Anishgiri's wife actually, and we had a similar situation where like this 7th rank attack countered by like attacking the defense position of a rook. So this is kind of a funny pattern, but my opponent has to now play super accurately, and they didn't here, checkmate. So that was a bit of luck there. Okay, so yeah, so let's go back. So where are we? Let's look at this one. Roy 3912. So again, my knight c3 system at work, And yeah, I've just got a nice position here out of the opening. Let's look at the engine now. This is already a nice big central control, and suddenly I'm an F file pressure later, so that's king safety implications. So here, I think I messed it up with d5 actually. That loses a lot of the advantage. What should have been played instead of d5? g4. No need to lose a key square control. So knight h4 is even possible. This trick. If bishop takes, there's g5. That's a nice trick to know about. Okay. And if knight takes, there's knight takes g6 to win material. Because if knight takes, we have knight takes check. So a bit of an inaccuracy there, as you might expect. But yeah, d5 is a bit lame, giving that e5 square to black. So we're back to being equal. And let's see. So I have to try and win this, get an advantage rather again. And so yeah, let's see any key moments coming up. Losing that pawn is helpful, and then bishop b5 is helpful. Winning the queen is super helpful. Okay, so yeah, that ended abruptly. So yeah, this is a very, very entertaining form of chess. A lot of people say, well, quite a few say it's not real chess. Yeah, but there is a lot of it's just you've got to play on like instinct a lot of the time. Instinct. So maybe I should just consider this part 1 of the video. I don't know how interesting this is, so I'll send this up on YouTube as a prototype video. If you want me carrying on in a separate part, you know, let me know. But you can check out the games at that link I'm going to give in the description of the video. So yeah, let me know so far of this first installment of checking out the wins in this tournament. Okay, great stuff. But yeah, even though I'm thinking, wow, I only scraped this by 1 point, and there was basically a 2800 player coming after me, that a few months back, like 8 months ago, you know, I had some tight game where if I had beaten him, I would have perhaps come first instead of second. So it's like these opportunities to get high in this ranking are few and far between. So I'm pretty excited. Yeah, this week, if you look at play menu area tournaments, my name is highlighted here for this elite bullet. So this is just part 1. Let me know if you want a part 2, or you've had enough of all these silly blunders. But yeah, I think one of the big takeaway points, if you get nothing else from it, you know, maybe consider experimenting with this idea of don't look down metaphorically. Just try and focus on what you can control and not worry about what you can't control. And maybe that's a good thing for chess and life generally. Yeah, just work on the things you can control and not be too, you know, the intimidation factor gets you distracted mentally on things you can't really control. So okay, it's not as if there was also a GM at 3,100, so it was an easy time. You've got to like wait for your opportunity. Sometimes these tournaments are dominated by really, really strong GMs sometimes, or IMs without the IM prefix, and that you know that they're 2,900. That's not going to be a day usually you're going to be winning this elite bullet. But yeah, I just had that opportunity on this occasion, and with all the luck I had, it all came together. It was a bit of a fall in the last few games. No moves left. I kept feeding him points until it was very, very close to the overtake. But anyway, I hope you found this entertaining. Let me know in the comments. Comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. And especially if you want a part 2, just say part 2 in the comments. Okay. Thanks very much.